And welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet Seth, who's in a wheelchair and a minivan. And so that can't be the easiest thing in the world. So Seth, tell us about yourself. How are you in a wheelchair and how's it going being in a minivan?
Well, the minivan's a little cramped, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So for starters, I was in the Navy for just shy of 4 years, which is kind of what brought me to the chair. It wasn't directly because of the Navy, but I was at a pre-deployment party. I had a little bit too much to drink. I dove into a pool, broke my neck, and drowned. So then after about 6 months in the hospital, I got out and then moved back to Minnesota, where I'm from. And then after the next couple of years, it was just kind of getting used to the new way of life. And then I joined up with the Paralyzed Veterans of America, and I was volunteering with them for about 4 years. And then that's when I kind of decided I needed a little bit of an adjustment. And I've always loved traveling and stuff like that, hence joining the Navy. So
Good way to see the world.
absolutely. And last May, I ended up taking off in my van, and I went out east for starters, and then I went over to Pennsylvania for a couple weeks, and I was actually supposed to go to Utah for scuba diving, and then I ended up with a foot infection, so that kept me in Pennsylvania for a little longer. And then being as I was over there, I've never seen the northeastern states, so then I did a little quick tour over there, and then I shot back home to Minnesota in July, and then August 17th I took off out west and did the 101, hit Yellowstone, and kind of just took my time down the west coast and made my way back home for the holidays, and then came to the RTR.
Super. And you were on your way to Utah for scuba diving.
I think.
And so you're on some kind of disability then?
Yep, through the VA.
That's great.
Yep,
So that's a positive, and
absolutely.
it's I'm sure you'd go back and trade in a heartbeat, but it's a positive.
It is. It is.
So you'd made the decision that you were going to be travel rather than just
Yes.
be stationary. And
Yes.
how did you end up in the minivan?
I had a Dodge to begin with, a Dodge Caravan, and then I upgraded to the Chrysler, and then that luckily I did because it has just a little more room on the inside for me. So I did my first kind of mock-up of it, and then I did a little bit of traveling, like I said, and I went back to Minnesota in July, and then I did my second revision with it, and then that's what I've been toting around is my second revision with it for the past roughly 6 months. I mean, I kind of fell in love with the road a little bit, so I had decided I was going to buy a short bus, and now come February, I bought it from Washington.
Oh, you have one already.
Yep, I bought it, so now I just need to transfer it because it was the actual school bus. So I need to transfer it into a motorhome status,
Right.
and then they're going to ship it to Minnesota, and then that's actually after I leave here, I'm going to go to Schoolypalooza, and then after that, then I'm going to head back home and start working on my short bus.
Right. That'll give you an enormous amount of room.
Absolutely.
And it probably has the lift already on it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
once you're inside, they're just so open. My
Yep.
goodness, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot nicer to have a little 7x14 area to roam in rather than the minivan. So
Yeah.
it's a little cramped,
Yeah.
but it gets me out, so that's the primary cause.
So what has been the hardest thing for you so far? Of course, you're limited by your mobility.
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I think that is the hardest thing, is being as I can't go, walk through the woods and enjoy the deepness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of confined to, luckily I have like the free will and stuff like that that allow me to go further than just the chair. So that part's nice, but I think just limited access to places is probably the most challenging.
Right.
But I still try and push myself to go where I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a track chair back at, because I got a cabin still in Minnesota. So I got, the sticks and bricks back home. But I got a track chair that still can go through the woods, go hunting, and get me into nature. But can't really tote that sucker
No.
with the minivan. So There's been multiple times that I've gotten stuck, and luckily I have the phone to, give a ring, be like, hey,
Right.
I'm stuck, come get me.
Right.
So
Right.
being in a chair, it's opened up just the biggest thing I've gained from losing everything is perspective, and that's something I don't think I would change for the world. The like going through the Navy and stuff, if I knew that I'd end up in this particular situation, I'd do it all over again.
You would.
I would.
Well, it's pretty amazing that you can take that point of view. And for those of us who are, a lot of people struggle with a lot of hardship. I'd say few of us struggle with the hardship you do, but a different kind of hardship. How do you keep that positive point of view? And the bad times. You said there are bad times.
Oh,
How do you
absolutely.
get through those?
Um,
I mean, there's no secret, of course, but
Honestly, I think I just always keep, even though I know that bad days come and go, everything always works out in the end. No matter how long the hardship is there for, I feel everything happens for a reason and everything always works out in the end.
well, can we take a look at your rig?
Absolutely.
I'm going to be interested to see how you've done this.
So I guess I've tried to keep it as simple as I could. So if you go straight into the threshold of the van, that's where I just have my bed there, and then to the rear is where I keep all my like my shower stuff is in the black one. On the bottom is a couple like canned goods and stuff like that. Below my bed is where I keep a lot of my canned goods, those underneath the bed there. And then the foot portion of the bed will actually raise up so I can get under there if I need to. And then the back bin is just for my like clothes and stuff. And then right behind you there, Bob, is where I keep my cooler is on the very bottom, as well as the pooch's rations. And then,
And does it slide out, the cooler?
yeah, I just have to pull it out manually.
Right.
It's not on slides or nothing, which would make it a little easier, but
That works.
yeah,
And, it slides pretty well on the carpet, I guess.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so you've got a specialized chair and handles so that you can drive.
Yep. So that transfer seat is called a six-way transfer seat. So it goes up, down, forward, back, and then it swivels to I think 180 degrees. And then as far as driving, what looks like that suicide knob up there is due to my lack of hand function. It's called a tripent. And then below the steering wheel, right where the steering column is that rod.
Right.
And I push towards the dash for brake, and then I push towards the floor for the gas.
Right. So everything becomes hand operated.
Yes.
And I'm sure the Navy must have been instrumental in getting this all set up for you and going.
Yes, the VA actually helped immensely.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of dog the VA, but I don't think I've had one poor experience with the VA.
So you don't have much, but it all fits and it works,
Yep.
and you're comfortable.
Absolutely.
So you're going to be a minimalist.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I do have a pillow there, but I usually use a boo as my pillow.
So you have to back in up the ramp. You have to pull yourself up the ramp.
Yep. So I just push up. So usually, I can give you a little show of how I usually do it. So I usually just pull up right here, and then this little 1x1 bar right down here, I tuck in between my brake and my wheel here. So then I have a little extra room. And then if I want to go to bed, I can just hop up on bed, or I can hop up onto the chair, or whatever I want, wherever I want to go. And then I have just enough room if I can't go down backwards and it's too at an angle where I'll tip back, then I can. This is where the crampness comes in.
Yes.
I have just enough room to do a 360
Good.
and come down.
Yeah. And I saw you have a jackery in there, so you must have solar.
Yep, I do. If we were to open that door there, that's where I keep. So I actually got one of my one of my favorite little additions to it is, so that whiteboard right there, if I were to lift this ramp up, I have little arms that I can stick in these grooves, and that acts as a table.
Oh.
So I tried to use as much of what I have as multiple purpose as I can.
Well, you're kind of so crowded inside, you probably spend all your time you can outside.
Oh yeah.
Setting up a camp, so a table would be really critical.
Oh yeah. I guess the only downfall of that is if I forget one thing inside, I have to completely break it down, close everything up, open it, and then get back in there.
Yeah.
I guess since I've been on the road, I've tried to implement only driving a max of like 2 to 3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't miss much. I don't keep him inside the van all cramped, and
Right.
so I try to stay outside as much as I can.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably lost some fuel mileage with weight.
A little bit. I average about 20. If I'm on the highway, I can push 25. But yeah, I get pretty decent gas mileage.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of the kick is with that short bus, it's going to be a little bit different.
Oh my, yes. It will be very, very different.
Yeah.
But it'll be well worth it.
I agree.
The quality of your life is going to drastically improve.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Because you're so crowded, going to the bathroom can't be easy.
I actually found a pretty ingenious, I'll show you real quick, little setup. So back home, I have just a regular commode that I throw over the toilet.
Right.
So luckily, this is a trifold mattress.
Right.
And then right here is my little porta-hole.
Right.
And then underneath over here is I have little cushions that I can just set right there, and that acts as my commode. And then I put the bucket underneath, and that's how I do my business.
Ingenious.
Yeah, so it works really well, actually.
Yeah.
So I've been in the chair now for 7 years, and I'd say the first 2 was definitely the adjustment period. So after I adjusted, and now moving into this, it's just one more slight adjustment period. So being as I waited an extra few years before I really did anything like this, it definitely helped to be comfortable with how I am now. And then so this transition wasn't as hard as if I were immediately forced into this position after the chair.
That would have been very devastating.
Very, yeah. So
I'm sure the whole initial transition was pretty devastating.
Oh yeah.
And then, okay. Oh, and then staying clean is basically just the way we all do it.
Yeah, I use baby wipes for my shower, and then once I start feeling too dirty, I'll just pull into a truck stop and get a shower or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So few days without a shower is nothing too gross or bad or anything like that.
No, not at all.
I guess one of my other additions that I really I'm glad I put on the van is the light bars on the top.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, so those little bad boys, I got one on each side, and during night, actually since we've been here at the RTR, I've actually been able to use these the most since I've been here, since I've been on the road, because you get around a group and then these are really bright, so you have to throw like a light scarf or something over the top of it so it dulls the light.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you just flip one of them bad boys on and you got a lit up camp.
That is nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you are in the middle of the woods and you hear something crash through the woods, you can turn that on and spot what's out there. So it's good for security as well as leisure. So I got my tattoo machine down there.
Oh, you do tattoos?
I do.
Wow.
I'm not pro by any means, but they're.
Can people have you do a tattoo for them?
If they don't want 100% professional quality, yeah.
Okay, good.
Actually, a couple days ago, one of the friends I met at the RTR, I gave her one, and it actually turned out pretty good. I was surprised, but.
Did you do your own?
I did some on my leg, my knee, ankle. So I've done a few myself. A lot of them were just stick and poke, but after I got the tattoo machine, that was the game changer.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I got some storage back here. That's a little 12-volt back there. I run the cord to the jackery for when it runs low. So I usually, unless, boondock and stuff, I usually don't have to throw out my solar for the jackery. And then I guess other than that, I got some extra storage down here. And down here is where I keep my propane stove and then the pots and pans and stuff. So I usually throw everything in the Instapot, let her cook, and good to go.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
Instapots are pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's I'd say 85 to 90% of my cooking's done in the Instapot.
Yeah. Okay, well, Seth, thank you so much for sharing your life with us and your story. It's really, really amazing. Just
Thank you.
a fantastic job. Very inspiring. I know you're going to help a lot of people to deal with some difficulties in their life and inspire them to move on and do better.
Absolutely,
So,
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.